Order, please. This regular meeting of the Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors for February 5 is now in session at 5:30. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is just I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How's it going? Thanks for getting that work.
Termination of a quorum. General Manager Johnson, a roll call, please.
President Flowing,
Present.
Director Fick,
Here.
Director Jarlsberg,
Here.
Director Short.
Here. And Vice President Doolittle is absent and it's excused. All directors attending this meeting are present in the boardroom. There is no request for remote participation. We have a quorum. Do I hear a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who do you want to give it to, Lisa?
You got it first.
You did.
Okay.
Tie to me. Those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Public comment this designated time is for members of the public to provide comments on any district related matter, whether appearing on the agenda or not. Under provisions of the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. At the discretion of the board president, comments on a particular agendized item may be deferred until that item is heard. Do we have any public comment? None. General Manager Johnson, is there written, electronic, or voicemail public comment?
None to my knowledge.
Thank you very much. Public comment time is closed. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. If a board member would like an item handled separately, it will be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. We have one item tonight. It would be the draft minutes from January the 15th. Anybody want to separate that from the consent calendar? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of approving the draft minutes of the January 15 board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Presentation, public outreach report, information purposes only, no action will be taken. Public outreach consultant Kathleen Radnich will provide a report on outreach activities. As long as you're out of striking distance, I'm fine.
Well, I have 4 months of, well, 1 month that passed and 3 that are coming up of public outreach activities. And I'm going to try and jump right in, but feel free to ask any questions along the way or at the end. So Lisa, if you would go to the first slide. All right, so due to the tragic LA fires, we're experiencing an influx of individuals considering location into our area. And our booth topic just happened to have been careers in water. So it really was very timely and generated great conversations. And interestingly, we had some really educated people come by our booth and talk to us. So that was pretty fortuitous. And the ever popular Seed to Salad 15-week course, which it's sponsored by Mojave Water Agency, but co-sponsored by all the water districts up here. And we have a heavy I should say, student roster of people from the Morongo Basin. That started last Thursday. It runs for 15 weeks. We allow late registrations because we record all the courses and they can catch up on their own. So if you know anyone interested in gardening in the desert, which is nearly impossible, but we give you all the tips and tricks on how to save water doing it. It's a great class if you want to grow your own food. See, our wonderful Desert Wind challenges our market booth repair skills. Even President Sloan jumped in to fix some things, and I think we're back on track, but that's what we spent January fixing things. And we'll see how they survive the March winds. We have actively been looking for key individuals this past month to join our CAC, and we will always continue doing that when the right people impress us. We will fly that application in front of them, and as you know, tonight, we will be looking at 2 individuals that definitely could be an asset. So that is something else we are actively doing out at the market. And also in January, that's when I really jump on all the spring activities and start ramping them up with what advertising, how many volunteers, who are the key people who will be participating, things like that. Next slide. So February's market booth theme addresses invasive plants. And I don't know if you're really aware, life is busy, but the native plants start popping up almost before the actual native plants open up to our beautiful desert flora. So we talk about them, and again, with the fires that have just recently occurred, the invasive plants are a fire threat to the Morongo Basin, the grasses that have come in. And as you know, fires cost us water. So the two go hand in hand in educating people about invasive plants. And we just started that in February, and it's already been of great interest. So we'll see how that one plays out, because I have not brought this to the public in the past. This is a new display. Let's see, we'll be holding a volunteer docent meeting on February 21st. That's a Friday. We'll be covering volunteer opportunities in the coming months and also providing training. And I'll be attending the Morongo Basin First Responders Semi-Annual Meeting, where I bring back to our general manager any pertinent emergency management, local news or concerns, or where the group is going. And this group comprises the sheriffs, the ambulance people, nurses, hospital, citizen, CERT, you name anyone involved in emergency response. They're all there at this meeting. And it's specifically for the Morongo Basin. The strategic partner ad campaign, we are moving into the spring season messages, working on that, and that goes out to everyone. And of course, the Seed to Salad course continues in February, so we go to March. Our theme at the market, following invasive plants, are the native plants, which coincide with the class we'll be offering on native plant gardening and also our native plant sale. The xeriscaping and native plant class, again, these are funded by Mojave Water Agency, but they are co-sponsored by all the water districts up here. Now we have a repeat of La Contenta Middle School. La Contenta Middle School will be coming with buses, 2 of them, 2 days in a row. And they're bringing their students to the water district for a brief interaction on careers in water. And then they come through our garden and we introduce them to a little bit of a fun game on observation skills and what have you. But that was from last year. And we had about 150 students come through, and it was quite a success. So they are back in March. And now the native plant sale this year, things morph, and we're up to like 42 some exhibits prior to COVID. Then COVID hit and it was all we could do to just do a plant sale, one and done. And even then, we had people 6 feet apart outside, you know, so it was just, that's all we did. Well, people are expressing interest in having more than just the plant sale. So what we're adding in this year, and it's already committed to, is a booth on the proper way to, it's mostly, by the way, plant focus on depotting all potted plants, not just the ones we provide, because we have a special technique. And the proper way to plant them, so when they get in the ground, they live. And then the Mojave Desert Resource Conservation District will host a booth on soil needs and irrigation approaches for native plants and other gardening endeavors. There'll be a booth for historic uses on native plants, a booth on identifying invasive plants, possibly a booth from the California Native Plant Society, a booth for class signups, like our upcoming wildcrafting course and a few others that are slated for the coming months. And we'll have our famous free seed and plant booth along with garden tours, of course. So March is a very busy month. April. Every year, April is California's Earthquake Preparedness Month. And we take advantage of the fact that the state really rolls out a lot of media and messaging. So we tag on to that. And so our booth in April at the farmers market is water for emergencies. Sometimes there is a big event, either at Walmart or the Jack in the Box. I have not been contacted about that, but if it happens, we usually are there. And on that, well, I'll get to it in May. Palm Vista Elementary School will be spending a long morning in our outdoor garden classroom. And this is also a repeat. They were really thrilled with what happened last year, the year before, maybe I've done it a couple of years now. We rotate amongst the different gardens and have different classroom topics on water conservation. And they are fifth grade in age, and it ties to their curriculum, and they're just thrilled that we have this garden. And I have to start working, you know, no wind for that day. But other than that, it's good weather that time of year, and it's just wonderful to get out of the classroom and into nature. We'll also be co-hosting another class summarizing landscape irrigation class. This is how we help people repair their drip irrigation, whatever their landscape irrigation is, usually it's drip, and get it ready for summer, which is our high water use month. And this is where a lot of times the rodents have destroyed their irrigation systems. So we help them get back and healthy with this course, but it's just one night course. And then we will be opening our gates for the Morongo Basin Conservation Association landscape tours the last Sunday of the month. And that's an all-day giving tours event. And last time we did it, it was so well attended. We had over 100 some people, I quit counting. So it was very well attended. And then May. No, May. All right.
Whoop.
I can do it without the screen. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
Fine. This is the month we bring out the baby tortoises, and we teach water conservation throughout the month, utilizing desert animal, the tortoise, as a great ambassador for that topic. It is annual, it is anticipated, it's a huge draw at the farmer's market. They even put out a little banner on the street, baby tortoise is here. So we definitely have it's a wearing month. We go home exhausted. But it also allows me to take them to the Water Education Festival, which is an event done every year in collaboration with a strategic partner grant, which we are not the host of that. I think High Desert and Bighorn co-host that, but we participate and we go all day and teach 8th graders. And our topic always is water conservation and hydration for good health. So we're in it again, and that will be happening in May, and the baby tortoises go, and of course, everyone likes our booth best, so that's what they tell me. We are going to do something a little bit different this year. National Public Gardens Day is celebrated annually, and it was brought to my attention, I've missed it last few years. So I do have a class that morning. We're doing wildcrafting every Friday morning in May, but since I'm here, I'm gonna open up the garden from 12 to 3, and my last tours will be from 3 o'clock on, and hopefully I'm out of here by 4, but we are going to open up the gardens for Public Gardens Day. And that will be publicized as well. And I'm hoping, and I defer back to April, Water for Emergencies. President Sloan took the lead on taking our Water for Emergencies display out to Copper Mountain Mesa back in December, first weekend in December. And he was well received and invited back. So are you volunteering someone else?
I think Thomas should be getting credit too.
Yes, you're right, you're right. It's just I gave you all the stuff and you took it. I was at the farmer's market. So yes, you both did it. And from what I understand, it was great outreach. We've just never gone there to do anything. So I'm hopeful early May, you could do the same thing. We might, since we were invited back, before it gets so hot. And that would be the conclusion of our May outreach activities right now on the calendar. It doesn't mean there won't be more, but that's where we're at right now. Are there any questions about what we're doing out there in the public?
Beck?
It's a pretty obtuse one.
Up to.
Yes. As far as exotic grasses go, I saw from 1900, people were coming out here. This is when it was set up for the Coyote Well, not Coyote Hole, but Coyote Well at Sun Fair. And they're describing the landscape as having grass tall enough to reach the bellies of the cattle. That doesn't,
At Coyote Hole?
No,
no, Coyote Well. Coyote Well is Sun Fair and the highway.
Okay,
It was,
okay,
you know,
okay.
little cranky
Uh-huh.
windmill and water
Yeah,
and
that's
cattle.
it's by the highway. I'm not surprised.
It's about 800 feet.
Yeah, that's what.
But in the same description, they had the fact that they brought the cattle here to eat the grass that was belly high to the cattle.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering what grass was that? Maybe they were keeping track back then in 1900, but it was,
We have native grasses. However, the invasive grasses are crowding them out. And if you have the opportunity to stop by the market this month, I have 2 pictures on display. One is of, well, it's all Joshua Tree National Park, but one is a fire encroaching, coming in. And what you see in the forefront, and there's the road, you see these invasive grasses. The next picture with the fire has now come through. Some of the Joshua trees are still inflamed, but those grasses are gone because they got burnt to the ground. They act as accelerant for the fire to just keep walking through. Whereas according to the national park, years ago, you had dirt between the trees. You really didn't have these type of grasses filling in the spaces.
no.
You'd have, after a rain, maybe some of the nibbles, the green that comes out at the end, the bunnies, they all eat them down very quickly.
Right.
But what's going on now are huge. I mean, the grasses are into bushes, some of them, and they are the things that torch our trees and stuff. So the invasives are what they're trying to get a handle on, and by the way, they haven't. They can't.
Well, they
It's
can't.
beyond,
Caltrans makes an effort to spread
yeah, right.
accidentally. I'm not saying they do it on purpose, but that's what they do.
Yeah, so anyway, the invasive plants have gotten out of control. The biggest problem, and those of you who have been around during our floods, we come into our garden and then we have what looked like to me corn growing. It's actually sorghum, which is a seed put in bird seed.
Mhm.
And what the park areas being invaded with along its perimeters are birdseed growths, which go crazy and don't belong there. And that's a problem. Now they're able to eradicate around the edges, but they're actually having to use chemicals now. They've given up. They're just having to spray. It's a battle they can't win. So that's why education with our public is important, but all of this ends up costing us water. When they fight fires, if it's up in my area, they're gonna pull from Joshua Basin's water to fight it. So we lose water. So it's an educational outreach that has water impact. And that's why we do it. Any other questions?
Director Jarlsberg?
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to say you didn't mention the newsletter very much. And I think it was very good this month. And you had the invasive, pictures of the invasive,
Yeah,
which was a new thing, which I was glad to see.
well, I do the newsletter every month. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I know, but
So,
I just wanted to mention it.
thank you.
I think it's, I still miss having the piece of paper, but we get it online.
You can print.
That was my old,
Printing for you, but it's gotta be black and white.
yeah, well, never mind. All those pretty plants and stuff.
Inside joke.
And I also, I think in the newsletter, it mentioned the propagation class is gonna be held at some point.
Yeah, we combined, it's kind of a combination of native plant, well, let's see, we've got native plant and xeriscaping.
Because the fellow that teaches that, I took that class a couple years ago and loved it and discovered that I could actually propagate
Other things.
things that I didn't know you could do.
Yeah, no, it's a good
Yeah,
class.
yeah,
We've combined some things just because, well, it's like this summer, we're combining stormwater and rain harvesting. Instead of making them two separate classes, we're combining them, we're reworking the curriculum. But in the newsletter, it has the date, and I think
and
that's,
the name of the teacher who was very good.
yeah,
The guy from Apple Valley or,
yeah, that's who.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to mention that I
Yeah,
found it
that's-
very helpful.
Yeah, well, I tried to post the classes coming up that are free. Everyone likes free.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're very practical, obviously, what you offer. The other thing is that, do you need volunteers for some of these events?
Talk to me, James. Talk to
Well, I like to be there for the plant sale, but there was another event which,
Well, we have.
ask you at the,
We'll
we'll talk about it.
I have a lot of things going on,
Yeah.
and anywhere that you're feeling up,
Should we come to the docent training or,
that would be nice.
okay, all right.
It'll be.
And where is that gonna be?
Here, this is
Okay.
informational science.
Yeah.
What you think you can do if you want to be trained to be a docent in the garden, that's different than just volunteering
Right.
for events.
Right,
And training to be a docent is comprehensive, there's work involved, but that's your thing, we'll make it happen.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you for asking. Okay, any other questions?
Director Short? No questions. I did notice at the market that there are photographs of the invasive plants, and that seemed to be the attention getter there in particular. People would be bending over and then.
Yeah, and then I have them big in a book.
Yeah, the book was there.
Yeah, the book, instead of
Yeah.
printing off tons of
Mhm.
stuff, I have them all in one book. And they can flip to that and really read about it and what they need to look for.
They're in color, right?
Yes, much bigger too. Much bigger.
Counterattack.
Paybacks.
It is informative, though. I found among the photographs, 3 plants that were on my own property
Mhm.
from that. So it's good to know. I haven't noticed them spreading, though. They just pop up every year and then that's it. Citizens Advisory Council Chair David Correa, do you have a comment on this?
No, there's a lot of things to work forward to, and like Jane says, if
Springtime.
you have the time and you'd like to do this, especially the bills class, that'd be great. But if you also have the time, stop by the market to see actually what's going on in real time. It's very promising in a lot of ways. It really is. The people we meet,
Oh,
the conversations that are going on, you learn a lot just by standing there. So stop by.
And thank you for stopping by as often as you do. Okay,
And Bill too. Bill shows
yeah,
up
Bill, yeah,
from time to time too.
we have quite a.
Our citizens are colorful.
Oh,
True.
I'm not gonna touch that one, because it's right. Anyway, if there are no more questions, that concludes my report. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Action calendar. Appointment of new Citizens Advisory Council, that's the CAC. Members, General Manager Sarah Johnson, comments and introductions, please.
Kathleen has done a knockout job of getting us some applicants for CACs and maybe Kathleen. First tonight, we'd like to invite Crystal Lysol up to the lectern and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and why you'd like to join CAC. Okay.
Welcome.
You didn't tell me I had to speak. Hi, I live in North Joshua Tree, Copper Mountain Mesa. Actually, before you head up, I'm in Surprise Valley, if anyone's familiar with that area. There's an old well there that the Copper Mountain Mesa
It's on the map.
Association
Yeah.
owns.
Oh,
I live right, I'm the next property to the west. So, I have been here about 12 years, probably about 10. I just recently resigned from being on the board at Copper Mountain Mesa because I helped start a community garden at the retreat center and it's taken over my life. So, also, most of our board members were older like me. So, in fact, I was the oldest board member and we had a couple of young people who wanted to step up and be on the board. So that was the other reason. I was still the kitchen manager of our first Saturday community breakfast. And that's because I'm the only one there who went to culinary school, taught culinary at the college, and there's one other person who worked in food service, so I'm the expert, so to speak. So, so basically, I'm doing everything I was doing before I left the board, but it's okay. And we are starting a disaster. We're calling it Preparing for the Apocalypse, so that we get more interest because we named it the Disaster Preparation Committee, and we really didn't get a whole lot of response. So we're taking a different tack and trying to get more people interested in just looking out for their neighbors. Although our community is very good at that as it is, but we have a lot of new people. What else do I do?
That's pretty good.
You interact with a lot of public.
I do I'm sorry, what?
You interact with a lot.
Yeah, I do. There's something else I do though. I was working on the micro enterprise home kitchen operation. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we gave up on Don Rao. Ever voting for it. It's it doesn't really have anything to do with water, but it's a community thing. And it for me, it was because I was teaching culinary at the college for 5 years and I had all these really talented students who couldn't open their own brick and mortar restaurant, and they wanted to do more than the cottage industry allows, which means perishable foods. So the state of California, I think it's been about 5 years ago, passed legislation to allow people to prepare perishable foods in their homes and sell them drop off, pickup, whatever. And Riverside County, the way it was passed was that each county had to opt in or opt out. So Riverside County was the first one. All of the Bay Area communities were on board right away. And we just recently got San Diego County and most recently LA County. But San Bernardino County won't approve it. And it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer.
What is it exactly?
It's called the Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operation. So we have a county-wide group, we have a statewide group, and we also have a Morongo Basin group. So I was working on that as well, but we realized we're gonna have to wait till we get a new supervisor. So we had 2 supervisors who were for it, and then we had one person we thought was a swing vote, but she ended up not being. So anyway, that's just something I'm working on, like it's way in the back burner. And that's because I was in the same position myself. I was a single mom in LA County, and I was catering, and I had a little kid, and her father had moved back to New York. And so I just, I care about these people who are just trying to make a living. And anyway. Then the garden came out of that because I want people to be able to provide food for themselves, healthy food. So.
Well, if you have any tips on how to keep animals from eating the garden,
Well,
we'd sure like to hear about that.
that's from my chiropractor who gardened in Pioneer Town for 20 years. And he told me, because we were just about to start something at the community garden, and he told me, nope, do it the opposite. He said the only thing that worked after trying everything was to put corrugated metal 3 feet down. And then
Build a fort.
well, because there's one garden that was existing at the retreat center, and that's how they did it. And then someone else told us, oh no, put hardware cloth 3 feet down. And he said, nope, I already did that. It rots. They get in eventually. He said it might work for a couple of years. So that's our next project.
My question would be, does the count, your micro,
Enterprise home kitchen operation.
what was the reason given for the refusal?
We were told that city governments in the district, in our district specifically, did not want it. And that we would have to go, and there's, I believe, 26 of them, and that we would have to go to each city council meeting and convince each individual city to.
For the unincorporated area?
No, in District 3.
Well, yeah, just District 3
Yeah.
unincorporated area has to go to cities?
Well,
We
the
won't get to-
supervisors approve it as, the entire district. So if there's
Oh.
cities within that district that don't want it.
Well, I do understand about 10 years ago, the county assigned the community development block grants to Yucca Valley. And since then, the unincorporated area has hardly seen anything.
Yeah. Well,
So we don't want to get too deep on this because, our lawyer's getting nervous anyways.
anyway, but the MBCA, as you know, did write a letter.
Yeah.
They think it tied into their campaign to help the homeless situation here, and they backed us and wrote a letter of endorsement, but it didn't work. So anyway, I'm just I'm all about food, I guess, is what it is. Food and feeding people, so.
Dr. Jarlsberg?
Yeah, you mentioned in your application here that you were, well, first of all, I wanted to say that I think it's a good thing that you kind of represent Copper Mountain Mesa, because I think that's a good place to get more representation on our local, on our CAC. And also if you want to come to meetings on occasion and, it's just, I'm glad to see that representation. But you mentioned in your application, you had specific concerns about water usage in, apparently you're not the only one, but several people in, organizing your garden. And what efforts have been made to reduce water usage? I needed more information on your comment.
Oh, well, one of the things we taught, our first round of teaching gardening was to use wicking beds, which I don't know if you're familiar with what they are,
Yeah.
but they're like reservoirs that hold the water and it wicks up instead of putting water on and losing it to evaporation or just runoff. So it was, and I mean, the great thing about the gardening group is, it's trial and error. So we had some issues with it, but that was the first thing that was our main goal, was to teach people how to garden here, but not waste water. And we're doing, and then we're teaching how to set up a drip system,
Mhm.
if you're familiar with that, so that you don't go out and water and lose a lot to evaporation. You set a timer, you water at the right time of day, that kind of stuff. So,
How many people are involved with a community garden?
well, I have about 90 people on my email list that have come at one time or another, or are showing interest, and they have done things like taking these classes that that have been offered.
Very good stuff.
They come to special events, if I do a field trip somewhere. And our core group is, unfortunately, we've lost a couple of people, one to long COVID, 2 people leaving the area, but we have a core group of about 10 people who always show up and always work or are there if new people come.
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen, but I hadn't really heard how it was doing, so I'm glad to hear that.
Well, and the other good part about it is we're under the Milltree umbrella. So we're have nonprofit status, which makes us eligible for grants and things like that. That's how we got started. We had a grant that Milltree helped us get. And so we also have veterans involved and veteran families. So that's important, I think, as well. So
I think that's a good, also a good thing for us to know more about and to cooperate with that effort too. Well, appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Director Short?
Well, can I ask questions? I recused myself from the vote.
He knows a lot about it because
Yeah, my
his
wife is on.
Jennifer is one of our
Yes.
strong gardeners that
I believe
Well-
if you recuse yourself from the vote, that you have to recuse yourself from the discussion, but Jeff, could you chime in?
I mean, I have a feeling what you are referring to is just abstaining from the vote. And in that case, you don't necessarily have to. You can just not vote. If you want to recuse yourself in the formal sense, then you wouldn't participate in the discussion either.
Okay, yeah.
It depends on which one you're really referring to.
No, I recuse.
Okay.
David Carrillo, anything?
Sounds like you have a lot of knowledge. It looks like, it sounds like you would be very welcome on the CAC. We minds like yours, like Kathleen said, you're in with the public a lot, you hear what they have to say. And, and being a part of this CAC, it will, be more water wise and stuff like that. So it can help us a lot, and spreading that knowledge is that would be nice. I would say that if I could vote.
Well, we've talked a few times and either up at the Mesa, or you've come by the farmer's market a few times. And so I know what you're about, and you're perfect. Well, you're demonstrating that you're plugged into the community. And this isn't your first effort to do that. And that's important. And as long as you're in agreement with our mission, which is on the wall there, and our values, you're most welcome. And please come by the market more often.
I know, well, the first Saturday is the breakfast.
Yeah, I know about
There in
the
the city is the board meeting, and now I found out I have to go to the board meetings even though I'm not on the board, so.
Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday.
Mm.
But I try to come a couple times a month. I'm not an early riser. If I was, I would come before the meetings, but I'm working on that.
Now, are we doing kind of like a one vote on
Yes.
two?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much
Oh,
Oh, no,
No,
vote
one
on each one.
on each one.
on each one.
Yes,
So we're doing it right now.
correct.
So
Is there a motion?
I'll motion for Crystal.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Oh, is that how we do it? Aye?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. This is the third time I forgot. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, welcome.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm also I'm on the board of Miltree. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Well, in that case.
yeah, right. Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Thank you. And Lisa will be in touch with you and get you all set up for meetings and contact information. Next on our list is Mr. Glenn Harris, so if you would please come up.
Hi, everyone. I don't think any of you know me, so it's my pleasure to introduce myself and just talk a little bit. First and foremost, I have to say that Joshua Tree is my main priority in my life today, at this point in my life. I care deeply about this community. I work really hard to represent this community and to be a reasonable and logical voice of this community, not only to local organizations, but as well to the county and even to our representatives in federal and state government. I was on the CAC for a while, and unfortunately, because of very sad personal affairs, I had to withdraw. And fortunately, I'm able to come back. I'm very well connected in the community. I'm very well established in the community. And probably most importantly, I think for you guys, I'm well informed on this community. As you know, I sit on some board of directors. I'm on the council for the National Park Association. I also am one of the committee members on the board of the East Desert Regional Steering Committee, which is a county sanctioned committee, and they have several throughout the county. And it's for this area, and it deals with all things homeless or unhoused. And I sit on that board with Curtis Stone and not Curtis Stone, Curtis Yakima, Stone James, April Ramirez, and several nonprofit organizations that provide direct services to the homeless. And we also are responsible for the monies that our communities get for dealing with these specific issues. And it's really an honor, and it's been very informative for me to be on that committee now for close to 2 years. And I'm very excited about the things that are happening in our area regarding those specific issues. That being said, Joshua Tree, as we all know, has become an international destination. The last 5 years, we have blown up in every way. And it has been no accident that Dawn Rouse, I think, appointed me to be her field rep here, because those of you who don't know me, or those of you who do know me, know that I am here to represent our community. Ours is a very diverse community. It's a very eclectic, bohemian, artistic, cultured community, and especially in the last few years, we've had a ton of people coming in here from Hollywood, from other places. And in fact, Dawn has even said to me, Glenn, I want to give you Pioneer Town because you know how to deal with those people. And that's the truth, because we all know what's been going on in Pioneer Town with the influx of development and the infighting and all that stuff. As far as our community is concerned directly, I'm obviously a ratepayer. I live in Upper Friendly Hills. I care so much about this community. I am actually friends with, I can say, probably 80% of the businesses downtown and otherwise in Joshua Tree. I worked very hard on other committees to try to unify all the efforts. That being said, it's important that we all must work together to ensure that the progress and the growth that is happening here, and most importantly, the developments that are being proposed are handled legally, respectfully, and responsibly. And I get to be a part of that. I get to be a part of that with my county work. I get to be a part of it as a community member. And we all know right now there's some stuff going on here in Joshua Tree that's causing a lot of noise, and these developments, you know, we all have opinions, but these things have to be handled responsibly. And along those same lines, we as the community and our water district have to work together, not only to educate all of the people here and coming here. We need to educate on how to protect and preserve our natural resources and our sacred land. And at the same time, we also need to work together to improve our public safety and our facilities to help sustain the 3+ million visitors that are coming right to this corner every year. And like I said, I'm involved with a lot of those different areas. Oftentimes, and I'll be honest, because you all know me, oftentimes I'm between a rock and a hard place. Because I am here, I get a lot of people talking to me about a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, I'm limited in what I can do. Obviously, I'm just the low man on the totem pole in the county. However, I do get to shine a light, and I do responsibly and a lot. And I shine a light on issues in this community. And guess what? I get attention. And that's why I want to happily provide my time, effort, experience, and support to work with the JBWD so that our community can grow responsibly. So that's kind of what I'm about. And it's so good to see so many friends, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Director Fick.
Okay, we have a history that you've chosen to give us, me and you. We've been in some skirmishes. I don't know why.
That's a discussion we can have privately. I'd be happy to.
No, you came before the board, and I'm on the board here. And I did do a research and took inventory of everything that happened on the CAC between 2020 and 2024. What was online about all the attendance and all the people. And here's my suspicions. You were on the CAC before March 8th, but Barb Delph passed on March 8th. You got yourself.
What year was that?
2023. I got dates here. So March 8th, Barb Delph passed. March 14th, you got yourself assigned or appointed as chairman of the CAC. That's March 14th. There were no CAC meetings since then between that and April 19th. April 19th, I was right there with a different room schematic. I was right there and you right there, and you said the CAC endorsed Mark Lundquist for being on the board. That was, let's say that's less than truthful, because there was no CAC meeting. And CACs don't do that. I see that as a misuse of your CAC chairmanship at that moment.
I appreciate that thought. I would like to suggest that perhaps I was there as president of the city and said that I endorsed.
No, you said the CAC endorsed.
I don't remember that.
I remember it, and she gently, whoever took the minutes gently said, you said something about the CAC liking Mark Lundquist.
Well, that was a mistake.
It was a mistake,
And I
but it's
apologize for that.
okay, but then, and then you resigned from the board sometime in then, and the CAC was dysfunctional for 7 months, which it's a marginal group anyway. We need to get more people on it. And then you came back on September 20th with a disappointing 6-minute rant towards me with information from Mark Lundquist. Now, Mark Lundquist, yes, it's there, it's on video. Mark Lundquist and I have had problems for the last 31 years. You don't know that. Mark Lundquist was president of the Morongo Basin Mental Health Association. And I was next to the Panorama Ranch. And I had to call in the California Alcohol Beverage Control Group on Mark Lundquist 31 years ago because he was having the ranch feed coyotes and he refused to believe that that was happening. He told me that they weren't, they were. They come in with that. So I've had Mark Lundquist lie to me and about me for over 30 years.
Okay, but what does that have to do with me?
September 20th, you were going and reading out information given to you by Mark Lundquist. There was some of it was truth, some of it was misinformation.
What information was that?
We'll follow that later on. We won't get into it. So anyway, that was a attack chosen by you against me and this board. So
Wasn't against the board.
it was attack when I was on the board.
I was directed at you for
Yes.
inappropriate things you posted on Facebook and social media.
Mhm.
And as a representative of my water district, I found it very inappropriate and very damning. And a lot of it was false information. So I brought it to the attention of the board to let them know that that is not a good way for a board member to represent the water district.
And it was reviewed by our lawyer and none of the comments were by me as a member of the water board or MBCA. This has had extensive investigation by me and other people. So you're not going to get a vote from me for being on this. I prefer that you not be on the AC because it was a misuse of your power that you had then. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Dr. Jarlsberg.
Yeah, you did mention that you were on the CAC in the past and had to leave. What was your experience on the CAC at that time?
I was on it for several months. David can corroborate. I was very involved. And then for personal matters, I had to withdraw some serious family issues, and that's why I withdrew. And in the last couple of months, few months actually, I have reprioritized my priorities because I was spread way too thin, and I've had to, as a result, I had to resign from the Desert Regional Tourism Association, which was the governing body of the Welcome Center. I was on that and president of that board for a couple of years. And I left that, and then just recently I had to leave I chose to resign from the Joshua Tree Retreat Center as well.
Oh.
My main priority right now is the no-kill shelter here in Joshua Tree, which is also a client, I guess, of this place.
Customer.
And we're about to launch a whole new era of our shelter, and that's taking up a lot of my time. And I also feel it is important to be back on this community association. What is it? Council? CAC?
Council.
It's very important because I am very much a presence in this community, and I really, really want to make sure that things are done well And as I understand it, and I really hope that we all can work together with these developments coming down the line. I mean, there's problems, there's big problems. And again, I'm sometimes between a rock and a hard place, but I can also represent and I could be the voice of a lot of our community to you guys and to everyone else. So.
Well, you are a busy person and I recognize that. And you are important in the fabric of this area for lots of reasons. You obviously are interested in the community enough to put your time into it. I'm wondering if you might be a little bit too busy to come back on the CAC. And I have some other concerns.
Okay.
And I wrote it down because I wanted to be clear. I'm concerned about your antagonistic attitude towards a member in good standing on this board and how it may adversely influence your involvement on the CAC and with Joshua Basin Water District. I would like you to speak to that.
Sure, I'd be happy. Unfortunately, I have to deal with a lot of people that I may not get along with, be it politically, trust me, or organize in organizations. And the thing is that I have enough integrity and I have enough responsibility within my heart and in my soul that I can look past all that. And I do look past all that. And I can work together for a common goal. We have a common goal here, and that's to provide, protect, and maintain our water, our natural, vital community resource. And that's just one of the community resources that we have here that I am committed to protecting and preserving. And, you know, I do get out there a lot, as you know, and I'm on, and I do speak to the community. And what I also get to do a lot is educate, but also I get to let people know the truth of some things, because people don't know what the facts are. There's about things, and I love being able to enlighten people about things so that they can go, okay, so that helps diffuse maybe a little the emotion out of it, because I think we all want the same thing. We all want it. And so as far as having an adverse relationship on a personal level, I am the first to take responsibility and accountability for my actions. And when I do wrong, and we all do wrong at times, I'm the first to try to make amends and make things right, because all of that doesn't matter in the big picture. We're here to protect our water. We're here to protect our community. And that's what I do. I don't have a personal stake here. I don't run a business. I don't, you know, I own some property, I live here, and I love here. And that's what I'm about.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I don't know, the members of the CAC are really representing the community and don't have any particular stature. They're just individuals on the committee, on the council, kind of representing their neighbors and the community out there that you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of see a conflict with your job working with Don Rao. If you could put that aside and come to the CAC as a community member,
I am here 100% as a community member. My job with Supervisor Rao, I'm not wanting to be here because I'm the field rep for the county.
well, I understand that.
I'm wanting to be here because I care.
I'm not sure if you can do that though. If it seems that you talk about bringing emotions down, and that's been a little difficult, I think. The emotions have been I was here when you came in and spoke as a private citizen about your concerns about a board member.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not feel that was a friendly
No, it wasn't, because
exchange.
my name was slandered on social media by one of your board members. And I found it
Slander, but-
inappropriate.
Yeah, I don't know about slander, but express his opinion like you might too.
Yeah,
I can reply to that. You want me
Oh,
to?
go ahead, briefly, please.
Okay. I said you didn't know anything about the county's approval on the consent agenda of the Cadiz JPA by,
yes, that is what you said.
that's all I
And that
said.
was, and you claimed I knew nothing about it.
You knew nothing about it.
And my response to you when you asked me about it was, I am not here to speak on that tonight.
That wasn't your response.
Yes, it was. I was with Heidi.
I think we've had enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you can do this one.
That's
I'm
not
sure
bad.
you're not.
Oh,
I'm done. I'm
You're
done.
done? Okay, so I did go back and I watched that exchange on their YouTube channel. And it sounds like you still kind of feel like that was appropriate? The way you addressed that?
No, I just said that if I made error in judgment, I'm the first to make amends for it.
Okay,
And I'm happy to address that, like I said to Jane, when there's an adverse relationship, I work really hard to try to clean that up because in the big picture, you know, we have a mission at hand. And that big picture, all that other stuff is noise.
okay, but I'm asking if you believe that your behavior at that board meeting was acceptable.
I believe it was my right as a ratepayer to make a public comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, me personally, I think coming to a board meeting and, you know, kind of airing your grievances about a Facebook post just shows a lack of professionalism. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I think the staff puts a lot of hours into these meetings, and just to drag it out over something that's honestly, it's just trivial. I mean, it's Facebook, it's social media. It's not that big of a deal. And then shortly after that, we had a conversation at a political event about it, and I kind of told you how I felt about it at the time. And you told me that that's the reason you left the CAC. And I get that if it's a personal problem and you wanted not to discuss that, I get it, but don't tell me that it was something that it wasn't. Because when you stood in front of me at that meeting, you told me that the
Do you
reason
remember where that was? I'm sorry.
it was at Crossroads. Or not Crossroads, Frontier, a Derek Marshall event.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
you told me it was because you didn't agree with a board decision to appoint Director Fick is why you left the CAC. And if it's a personal reason, just tell me that. I would have been fine with it. But then to say it's something else, it's just,
I don't recall saying
okay.
that. If that's the case, I do apologize because it really was about personal.
I'm 100% sure it was. I believe you on that. The CAC has had quorum issues. Well, I guess it's that
Wait, what kind of?
quorum.
Oh, quorum.
So I just want to make sure that, well, if it was it was a personal problem, probably not something that's going to happen again. So we're not going to have that issue in the future. What are your long-term goals for this position?
With CAC. I just want to be of service to the water district.
What are your responsibilities as Don Rao's field rep?
My responsibilities are to attend local organizational meetings. Sometimes I have to go on behalf of Supervisor Rao, be it to give county updates or to present certificates of recognition or again, county updates like I do with Landers Community Association. I'm also here as a help to constituents who reach out to me if they have an issue with anything from tech to roads to permits. That's a big one. Permits. I get inundated with calls because, you know, we all know it's very challenging to deal with the county and to just on a logistics basis, forget everything else, just logistically. And so I really love when I'm able to, and I do, guide people and help navigate them and hold their hands and walk them through the process of the very arduous process of being a building permit, a temporary permit, a special events permit. So that's a lot of what I do also.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's pretty much, I'm a voice of our community. I do bring
Okay,
concerns to the
so
county.
you're an advisor to her as well?
I would say liaison of the community.
Okay, so it's not like you could actually like change her mind on the way she votes on something?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, God, no. Oh, I wish.
Okay. So when you were a member of the CAC, were there any needs of Joshua Tree or JBWD that didn't match the needs of the supervisor?
I can't speak on that. I don't
Can't,
know.
like something that could negatively impact Joshua Tree, but positively impact the county?
I can't speak on that because honestly, a couple of years ago, my work with the county was much more, how do I say it? I was much less actively involved because back then, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Steve Reyes and I were both the field reps for this area. Steve Reyes came from a 30-year background in law enforcement.
Mhm.
I came from a 30-year background in Hollywood and production and marketing and all that. So we both brought very different things to the plate. Steve and I did, and I'm sure many of you know Steve. And what has happened about 6 months ago now that Dawn has been reelected for the next 4 years, she found it appropriate to split us up. And we still work together, but now Steve's territories are now 29 and all things east to the border, and then all things north to and including Barstow and Lucerne Valley, and I am now sole Morongo Basin.
Mhm.
And in doing that, I have been much more intricately involved with the permitting process, with the developers, with the things like that. Now, as far as political things, I stay out because that's not my job. And again, I get between a rock and a hard place because we disagree on stuff. Absolutely. And this whole thing with the protection of the Joshua Tree, that's been ongoing and it's still going. And again, I can't influence her or on that. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I certainly share my views with her, so.
and you wouldn't bring her views into the CAC?
Would I bring her views?
Yes, her agenda.
No.
That's all for me.
Thank you. CAC Chairperson David Carrillo, do you have any comments on this one?
Yeah, I do. Last time, you were on the CAC, it was unfortunate that you had to leave. It really was, because, you brought a lot to the table. You really did, and, I missed that. You know, we still have quality people, but there was a void in there. And, I would like to see him back.
Do you have any public comments from our folks out there in TV land, Charles Magda or Phil M? I had to say Magda once because it was my grandmother's first name.
Huh.
He unmuted.
Well, this is a democracy here and we all have opinions. And I think they're within appropriate limits. There should be space for people to be who they are at a CAC meeting. And if anybody else on the CAC disagrees with you, they should point their finger at you and tell you what their opinion is. And then everybody listens, and hopefully some sense is made of it and all that. And in this room, in the political world, adults, older people in particular, we all have our opinions. And I always encourage people. I had a couple of words with David. I always encourage people to speak about what their opinions are, and then they feel better about it too. And not everybody likes everybody. I spent a career in a field where a lot of people would not like me just because of the uniform I was wearing. And so I'm accustomed to that. And when I sit here or at the market or at any meetings, and I tell people, I'm at the market every Saturday, feel free to come and yell at me. And, I get laughs and smiles and stuff, but I'm serious about that. If somebody wants to spend a couple of hours with us at the market, we can, if it's in the way, we would go off to the side somewhere, go around in the sun and sit in the chair and talk to people for as long as they could stand talking to us, me in particular. So this part about everybody being in agreement and all that, I personally don't think that that's a requirement, as long as everybody is courteous. But blood boils every once in a while, and people say stuff, and I know I say stuff, and for a day and a half, I'm unhappy about something that I said up here. Okay, it's just part of being human. And anyway, so you also occasionally come by the market, and you don't just breeze by. You spend time with Kathleen and some with me, because I try to cover with the public while Kathleen does her business with people, because she's the one in charge over there. But also too, I attend it's got a long name. It's the Landers Homestead Valley Community Association. I've attended, I think, 2 of them so far. And you have moments where, because the speakers are allowed very limited amounts of time. And then Mike Lipsitz might try and hurry people along and all that. But anyway, what you do there is very well informative, and you're well received. The way you say hi when you're first introduced gets a reaction from the 20 or 30, closer to 30 people that are there in the room, and it goes well. And I don't personally think that bringing a county perspective or things that you learn from your relationship with the supervisor and stuff, I don't think of that as a negative thing at these meetings, if they're relevant to whatever the subject matter is, the agenda of the meeting. And General Manager Johnson?
When you're done, I would like to make a comment. When you're finished, I'd like to make a comment. I was trying to grab your attention.
Yeah, I thought you wanted me to quit talking. Anyway, you go there, you attend that, and you contribute, and people appreciate it. That's the way I perceive it. And other important people are there too. You got the representative of the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department. People from the association are saying stuff about what their budgets are, whatever that other stuff is, and you contribute to it. And I kind of, board members are supposed to stay away from the CAC because we may be a bad influence on people or something. I don't know what it is, but I can get an idea of what you do from what I've seen you do in Landers at that meeting up there. And they're good meetings. I intend to continue going to those, by the way. I might even eat cookies one of these days. So I don't know. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I'm in favor of putting you on the board council. So having said all of that, I think we've discussed this all rather thoroughly. So
General Manager.
Hello.
General Manager.
Oh, yeah. Tell me to write it down.
Just from a staff perspective, in my time here, I don't think there's ever been a person that wants to volunteer that's been turned away. Glenn has been a friend of the staff and has been helpful in getting through some issues that we've needed to get through with the county. And I think it's important that we have diverse perspectives. If we're all sitting here thinking the same thing, then we're not really getting anywhere, but we may have diverse opinions, and I think that's okay. We can learn from each other that way. It's just 2 cents from the general manager.
Well, if we all sing the same tune too, it gets kind of boring.
Mhm.
We need some spirited discussion, I think. I was sitting here too when that meeting occurred, and it was most impressive on both sides when that exchange took place.
Oh, I had to hold my tongue on that one.
You did a good job.
It's wet. So, okay, should we voice vote?
I would think that's a good idea.
Okay, those in favor of putting Glenn Harris on the Citizens Advisory Council signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No,
No,
No. There it is then.
Okay,
Sorry, Glenn.
that's okay. Thank
No, it's
you.
not, but there it is. Thanks for coming over. Reports and comments, informational purposes only on subjects not covered by the agenda. Opinions of individual directors are not necessarily opinions of the board or the staff. No action will be taken. The board may provide staff with requests for future agenda items. Director Fick.
Well. There's plenty to say, but I have to hold back a bit on it, but the Lovemore Ranch is an issue I didn't bring up in this situation because it would have been opened up a situation that would have been 2 or 3 hours long. I'm sorry. But he may be doing representation for the county properly. But as far as Joshua knows, the Lovemore Ranch project was the most important project in the last 3 years that faced Joshua Tree. And it's whether or not we're going to become a bunch of HOAs and gated communities and just the rest of the area or not. And as some people know here, I've been out here 40 years, 35 years of which representing the county or Joshua Tree community through the county. It's been a rough road, a rocky road. And I had a lot of political capital in 96 because we provided the margin of victory for 2 supervisors. Dennis Hans, first of all, back then, Joshua Tree's 1st district. Now it's 3rd district. And it was 3rd district after 2000. In fact, I think it was next. Anyway, we never had a kerfuffle like what was called the Lovemore Ranch getting approved without the Joshua Tree community knowing about it ever while I was representing Joshua Tree to the county from 96 on until 2020. It's a long story on that one. So anyway, February 3rd would have been the last date to appeal this and represent the public to the county. And MBCA stepped in and did that. It took a week, it took a lot of work, and it's about 70, 80, 90 pages of critique of the Lovemore Ranch approval. I'll send the whole thing to our general manager, but that's what happened. And I did that as MBCA, but MBCA and Joshua Tree Water District have a lot of interplay and stuff that we do. And I'd like to say, I think the board did a good decision in choosing to appoint me because 1, I have perfect attendance. 2, I brought and helped the district save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And 3, well, I don't know what the 3rd is, but I'm here. I'll leave it at that.
I'm sympathetic.
I also went to an ASBCSA meeting. It was rather fruitful too, because me and Jane Jalsbury got to meet with the tax collector of San Bernardino County. And he was telling us his woes and travails. We actually are on the side of the county. It's just that the county is a problem child and it sometimes has to be corrected.
Director Jarlsberg.
Okay, I want to say, kind of a closing comment on the CAC situation. I'll be better at recruiting somebody. I've had ideas of people to recruit and I haven't done it, and I'm just gonna do it more. So, yeah, we do need more people. And I think they're out there, just haven't been approached yet. One little comment, I guess we're gonna have a new, oh no, oh shoot. We're gonna have a new payroll company, right? And for some reason, I got it mixed up with our billing, because one of the things I wanted to mention is that still on the bill, our meetings are listed at 6:30, so, someday that'll be changed. But I was thinking it was the payroll, the change in the payroll, it would happen, but, and then, I did want to also, comment on the meeting that we went to a week ago Monday. Was very informative, and, I was able to ask the tax collector, if he had any influence or say as to where TOT went, because he brought it up as something that his department is responsible for. And he kind of slept it off, but he did respond to my question with an email later, and I was quite impressed that he did it like the next day, and had given it some thought. And we're not done discussing that, but that's an important issue that I'm still concerned about, that we don't, the roads are in terrible condition, and I'm gonna talk to I'm gonna talk to him another time about county stuff, but I think TOT has to come back to Joshua Tree in the proportion of that we're giving to the county. And the tax collector said, well, it's just, routine stuff that comes from unincorporated areas just goes in the general fund, and that's kind of the routine. And so we need to look at, do something more about that. And that's all I want to say for today. Thank you.
Director Short.
Yeah, I was also at the AS, even when it's written down, ASCB CSD dinner. Obviously with that.
We only talked about dogs and roads. We did not talk about.
Oh, yeah, no, the three of us.
Yes, we did talk about roads. Sunburst is a disaster.
Yes.
Just big chunks of it sitting out in the middle of the street right now. I think everybody's kind of covered what they talked about. They did have a website that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Where you can plug in your address and it shows you where your property taxes go to, but mine didn't show up, so I guess I can stop paying. During they have a legislative session at the beginning, and they talked about a executive order that Gavin Newsom signed saying that they're delaying payment of property taxes for the year. And it kind of, the way he presented it, it kind of sounded like he was saying it's for the entire state. So if anybody hears that, it's not, it's just communities in Los Angeles that have been impacted by the fire.
Oh, right.
They had a list of zip codes that we weren't in. Another thing I wanted to just kind of bring up, I've had a couple of people ask me about the rate study, since we've had a few discussions in recent board meetings about increasing or sticking with the rate study increase. I think the last 2 months, people have been asking about what that means and what that's about. I think it would really help if we got the rate study video and put it on YouTube. That's possible. That way we have something that we could refer to for people to watch.
I think it is there.
Is it?
In the board meeting. It was all.
I looked.
It was all in a board meeting, but we'll check.
Oh, yeah, so
When was it?
that was in 2022, 23.
The workshop or
The
the,
actual.
The actual public hearing.
oh,
February 2023.
Okay,
And
It should have its own title or something.
Yeah.
yeah, it should.
Should be titled specifically, so they don't have to search through a bunch of board meetings to find such a thing. Make it a little bit,
easier to search. Yeah.
it's a big deal.
yeah, good idea.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's,
Good idea.
people ask me about
It's
that way
like-
too. Yeah, that's all for me.
Okay, let's see, I don't think I have too much to say, other than that, as the president of the board, I have the authority to make committees and dissolve them. And so as of now, the WRO and the finance committee meetings are dissolved. And the reasoning would be they're redundant. It's an expense and it sucks up a lot of staff time. We're gonna let those pass. If anybody, I can do that without discussion, but if anybody wants to talk about it, we can do it later as an agendized item.
Don't we have one scheduled though, next week? Finance?
I know the WRO was canceled.
You're right, but finance is scheduled.
But finance has not been published yet.
Oh, okay,
So we can, everything that goes through those committees, just as a side note, they all come to the board in their full form as well.
yeah,
So I think this would be a prudent way to spend our time at the board meetings talking about this, so all the board members get to weigh in, not just the committee members. And if there's ever a topic that is of importance, like Chromium 6 or future rate studies, then the president at that time can assign an ad hoc to deal with that as a committee for a period of time until that topic comes to a close. And if this doesn't work, it can always be revisited in the future for standing committees.
That would make sense.
so are we gonna cancel next week? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay,
it hasn't been announced, it's not agendized anywhere.
okay,
So,
okay, good.
yeah. Also, we have a lot of fun talking about those acronym initials. We do it all the time. It's fun. That's the Association of San Bernardino County Specialists is what it is. And that's all from the president of the board. General manager's report, please.
All right, I've got a couple of things to announce. Today, 3/4 of the defective pipe that was ordered for the Belmont project was picked up and loaded and currently on the road going back to Canada. And they'll be here tomorrow to get the other order, the total load. That was an interesting situation. I had no idea they were gonna send truckers all the way from Canada to us, and then we learned some interesting lessons as they called me to organize it. I realized that our phones don't call Canada, so I couldn't call them back. So it was a challenging situation, but we got it worked out. So that's good. And I'll learn more about the credit, but we understand that the credit will go to our core and main account for the amount of that pipe.
And the amount was?
Roughly 400,000.
That include inflation?
This is the amount that we paid for.
Uh,
I don't know that tariffs are in place yet, so we're okay there.
No, they're not.
I'll ask you.
I was going to remind everybody WRO is canceled next week, but now it's canceled. You all have a handout on your
Yeah.
diets. This is a letter that we signed on to. When this time of the year, oftentimes when we need to sign on the letters, it happens fast. So I'm getting the information and they're asking for sign on immediately. And you can see that, you know, High Desert Water, Mojave Water Agency, CWSA, Bighorn, all of our local agencies around signed onto this letter. As I've shared in the last few board meetings, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife have developed a very restrictive Western Joshua Tree conservation plan, which has raised concerns amongst many of our water districts. In order for us to be able to continue to do our pipeline program, for instance, this is going to be a huge impact to it. So the letter expresses support for the conservation, but just cautions that the regulations may jeopardize infrastructure and economic stability, and especially in our disadvantaged community, we're going to see a much more increased amount of cost to do pipeline replacement, for example, than what we would have expected before because of this conservation plan. So what we've done here is we're exhausting our administrative remedies, and it's important that we do that. Same thing with the chromium-6. Before all of that MCL went through, we were exhausting our administrative remedies by going to Sacramento and speaking with the State Water Resources Control Board. And this is an example of that as well. So you have the letter for you for your review. And last but not least, this is news I'm not excited to share, but I'm hoping something will change quickly. As you know, we've been working with US Water Alliance, who has secured the EPA funding that we are working with Jacobs Engineering on our chromium-6 alternatives analysis. And based on what's happening in Washington, DC at the moment, that funding has been paused, bringing that project to a halt. Unfortunately, California is not bringing the MCL to a halt, so we have to proceed. What that means is we need to follow up with Jacobs. We're going to have to contract them. We're already working with them, and then we're going to have to self-fund that project that was going to be funded. I anticipate that to be somewhere in the ballpark of $250,000. So it's not a cheap process. It's the part of the process that we have to do. And unfortunately, you know, here we are sitting in the face of a regulation that we have to meet in a very short time frame. So we have to move forward. I have a meeting next week with US Water Alliance folks. They're hoping to have more information next week, but just like us all, we're all in the dark on some of these issues that are going on in our government, and we're being impacted by them here. And that's the end of my report.
Comments from the board?
Yeah, as far as notifications, once by this board, well, not this board, this staff, on the Lovemore Ranch, that the initial study went out, and one of the rare recipients was Joshua Basin Water District. When those come by, like Cactus Inn is a 39-unit hotel, and we should at least be notified about it in Joshua Tree.
That's if we receive them.
Yeah.
We will put the copy of that in your box. We don't always receive them.
Yes, that's part of the problem with the county is, I won't expand on it,
But yes, I'm happy to share those. That's not an issue at all.
Nothing further?
Well, just, let's see. No, not on questions to the general manager.
Dr. Jarlsberg.
Yeah, I also am curious about Lovemore. At one point you said that they had approached you to meet, and I wondered if that has been set up.
They have not approached me to.
Oh, they haven't?
They have not.
I misunderstood
No,
that.
I've heard through the grapevine they're going to.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
Grapevine.
Yes. I had a grapevine in Joshua Tree, who knew? But no, they have not reached out.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Director Short.
Okay, yeah, what I was getting at with the inflation on the pipes. So we bought them a while ago, correct?
I see what you're saying.
And now they credit the account,
Oh,
but the cost has increased, so we're still losing a bit of money on that, right?
Costs may have increased. I don't know what the current
Okay.
rate is. I see your point, though. It'd be something I can talk about with them.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
interesting point,
That's it.
yeah.
They seem to be pretty reasonable anyway, right? But
So far, it's been a really good process, and I'm really thankful that it's been a good process.
And
Over yet.
you're gonna go on vacation?
Yes, the next board meeting, I will not be present. Anne will be on deck to take over that meeting, and she'll be on deck to be responsible for the district for that week as well.
Well, we're here to help.
okay. Item 10 is a closed session, public employee performance evaluation. It's the general manager. The use of a closed session for this subject matter is authorized by Government Code Section 54957B1. I'll place a copy of it on the podium for review that wants to have a look. Upon completion of the closed session, this Board of Directors meeting will reconvene here in the boardroom to report any reportable action taken by the board and continue the meeting with item 11, which is adjournment. Thank you very much. At 2018. We're reporting out. With a motion, I moved that the board approve because of extraordinary good service to the district under incredible pressure and cruelty from other people, that the board approve a $10,000 bonus pursuant to section 7D of the general manager's contract and direct legal counsel to prepare an amendment for the board president's signature, reinstituting the original vehicle allowance language from the general manager's contract with a monthly allowance of $850 per month. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
President Flowin,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Yes.
Director Jarlsberg,
Yes.
Director Short.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much, board, and thank you, Sarah.
It takes a village and I don't do any of this alone. I've got a great team and
Buy him a lunch.
I appreciate the leadership. Thank you so much.
Final item. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second that.
motion carried. This meeting is adjourned at 2020 hours.
Or 8:20. Not a good.
I know it's a bad habit.
We're not going back to 2020.
8th hour of the day.
They may be moving from military time.
Have a good night.
You were on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, very much.